We are starting with a new chapter, that is transition and inner transition elements. In this video, we shall study about their position, electronic configuration, physical properties and their trends in the first transition series. First, we begin with the position in the periodic table. The transition elements are also called as the D block elements, and they are placed in the periods 4 to 7 and groups 3 to 12, and it consists of 3D, 4D, 5D and 6D series. This transition elements, they are placed between S block and P block, that is in the center of the periodic table. The properties of these elements like electropositivity, reactivity or any other property, it changes gradually as we move from S block towards the P block. In simple way, we can say that the elements of D block which are closer to S block are going to have properties of S block, and as the elements of D block move towards the P block, they are going to have the properties of P block. Let us now study the electronic configuration of this transition elements. The 3D series begin with the element scandium, which has an atomic number 21, and it ends with zinc with atomic number 30. Hence, we can consider the electronic configuration of the noble gas argon, that is 18, to write the electronic configuration of the 3D series. We cannot consider the noble gas krypton because its atomic number is 36, and 3D series begin from atomic number 21 and ends with atomic number 30. Hence, argon is the noble gas which is considered as ideal for writing the electronic configuration of the 3D series. The electronic configuration of argon is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. If we take the example of calcium, which belongs to the S block, it has an atomic number of 20. So its electronic configuration is written as 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2. When we take the example of scandium, which belongs to the D block, it has an atomic number of 21 and its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d1. So one electron enters in the d orbital. The electronic configuration of scandium can also be written in the noble gas core form. So we know that the electronic configuration of argon is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6. Hence, the above electronic configuration of scandium can be modified as scandium is equal to the noble gas core of argon 3d1 4s2. Here is a table which gives the information regarding the electronic configuration of the 3D series of the D block elements. It shows expected electronic configuration and observed electronic configuration. In observed electronic configuration, you will observe there is transfer of electrons from the s orbital to d orbital so that it becomes stable. We know that half filled, completely filled is stable. Zinc has an atomic number of 30 and the electronic configuration is 3d10 4s2. So when having an oxidation state of +2, the electrons in the s orbitals will be removed. Hence, we will get the electronic configuration as 3d10, which means it is still stable. That is why zinc is not considered as a transition element. Similar is the case of cadmium and mercury. Cadmium has an atomic number of 48 and the electronic configuration is 4d10 5s2. So even after removing 2 electrons, that is having an oxidation state of +2, it is left with 4d10 electrons, which means it is still stable. Similarly for mercury as well, the atomic number is 80 and the electronic configuration is 5d10 6s2. So even after removing 2 electrons, which means having oxidation state of +2, and it is left with an electronic configuration of 5d10, which means it is completely filled, and this is the reason that zinc, cadmium and mercury are not considered as transition elements. If we take the example of element copper, copper has the atomic number 29. The expected electronic configuration which we get is 3d9 4s2. But in order to make it stable, we transfer one electron from s orbital to that of d, and hence the observed electronic configuration becomes 3d10 4s1. Now, from the expected electronic configuration, if I remove those two electrons, which will give us an oxidation state of +2, hence we will be left with an electronic configuration of 3d9. Hence it is partly filled, and that is why copper is considered as a transition element. So in simple way, you can say that transition elements are those which have an incomplete d subshell. So if we observe all the elements which are present in the 3D series, that is starting from scandium to zinc, then scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, all have partially filled or half filled d subshell. Only zinc has completely filled d subshell, and that is the reason it is not included in the transition element. The general electronic configuration of the 4 series of transition elements are given below. So if we look at the elements which belong to the 3D series, then the noble gas core for electronic configuration used is argon, and 3D 1 to 10 and 4s2 means if you look at scandium, then we have 1 electron in d subshell, whereas if you look at zinc, then we have 10. So this means that the elements belonging to this series have electrons in the range of 1 to 10 in the d subshell, whereas s subshell is completely filled with 2 electrons in the expected electronic configuration. In 4D series, the noble gas core is krypton, and the electrons in the 4D subshell ranges from 1 to 10. The 4D series starts from ytterbium with the atomic number 39 and ends with cadmium with the atomic number 48. If we look at the electrons in the 4D subshell of ytterbium, it has only 1 electron, whereas if we look at the electrons in the 4D subshell of cadmium, it has 10 electrons. 5s subshell have electrons ranging between 0 to 2. 5D series begin from lanthanum having the atomic number 57 and ends at mercury with atomic number 80. The noble gas core used here is xenon, and the electrons in the 5D shell ranges between 1 to 10, and in 6s2 it is completely filled, that is with 2 electrons. For 6D series, the noble gas core used is radon, and the electrons in the 6D shell ranges from 1 to 10. The 6D series starts with the element actinium with the atomic number 89 and ends with copernicium with the atomic number 112. There are 2 electrons in the 7s shell. So this was the general electronic configuration of 3D, 4D, 5D and 6D series of the d block elements. Let us now study the electronic configuration of chromium and copper. First, we shall start with chromium. Chromium has an atomic number 24. So the expected electronic configuration which we get is argon 3d4 4s2. However, if I transfer one electron from s in the d shell, then the electronic configuration becomes 3d5 4s1, which means it becomes stable. Similarly, for copper, it has an atomic number of 29 and the expected electronic configuration is found to be argon, that is a noble gas core, 3d9 4s2. But if I transfer one electron from the 4s shell to 3d shell, I will get the electronic configuration as 3d10 4s1. Hence 3d is completely filled with 10 electrons and s is half filled with 1 electron, and hence it is stable. So here is a picture which shows the distribution of electrons in the respective subshells. In chromium, there is 1 electron in the 4s shell and 5 electrons in the 3d shell. So it is half filled and stable. For copper, there is 1 electron in 4s and 10 electrons in 3d. So S shell is half filled and D shell is completely filled. Again, it is stable because we know that half filled and completely filled shells are stable. The 3d and the 4s orbitals are very much close in energy. So in order to gain the extra stability, the last electron, instead of occupying the 4s orbital, occupies the 3d orbital, hence giving a stable electronic configuration. Let us now study the oxidation states of first transition series. The transition elements show a variety of oxidation states. When there is loss of electrons from 4s and 3d shells, there is formation of ions taking place. For example, if there is loss of electron from the 4s, then it is going to form M plus ions. If there is loss of 2 electrons from the 4s, then it is going to form M2 plus ions. And if there is loss of 3 or 4 electrons, then it is going to form M3 plus, M4 plus ions, and so on. Here is a table which gives us information about the oxidation states of the first transition series elements. So the first example is scandium. The outer electronic configuration is 3d14s2. So if it is giving away 2 electrons from the 4s, then the oxidation state is plus 2. If it is giving 2 electrons from 4s and 1 unpaired electron from the d shell, then it can form the oxidation state of plus 3 as well. For titanium, the electronic configuration is 3d24s2, so it can give away 2 electrons from the s, giving you the plus 2 oxidation state. It can give away 2 electrons from s and 1 electron from d, giving the oxidation state plus 3, or it can give away 2 electrons from s and 2 electrons from d, giving the oxidation state of plus 4. Similar is the case for vanadium. The outer electronic configuration is 3d34s2. So if it is giving away 2 electrons from s, we will get the oxidation state of plus 2. If it is giving away 2 electrons from s and 1 electron from d, we will get the oxidation state plus 3. If 2 electrons from s and 2 electrons from d, it will form the oxidation state of plus 4. And if it is giving away 2 electrons from s and 3 electrons from d, we will get the oxidation state of plus 5. Next is chromium with the electronic configuration 3d54s1. So here, if the 1 electron goes from the s shell, it is going to form plus 1 oxidation state. This is a very rare oxidation state and it has to be mentioned here. It is not mentioned in your textbook. So if s gives away 1 electron and 1 electron from d, then it forms the plus 2 oxidation state. If 1 electron from s and 2 electrons from d, it forms the plus 3 oxidation state. If 1 from s and 3 from d, it is going to form plus 4 oxidation state. If 1 electron from s and 4 electrons from d, it is going to form plus 5 oxidation state. And if 1 electron from s and 5 electrons from d, it is going to form the plus 6 oxidation state. Similar is the case of manganese. For iron, the outer electronic configuration is 3d64s2. So if we put up the electrons in the shells, we get 1 electron paired in the d subshell. In s, the electrons are paired. So if the 2 electrons are going from the s shell, it is going to give us the oxidation state of plus 2. If the 2 electrons from s and 1 electron from d, it is going to give us plus 3 oxidation state. If 2 electrons from s and 2 electrons from d, then it is going to give you plus 4 oxidation state. If 2 electrons from s and 3 electrons from d, it is going to give us plus 5 oxidation state. If 2 electrons from s and 4 electrons from d, it is going to give us the plus 6 oxidation state. Here we are not considering the paired electrons in the d subshell. For cobalt, the outer electronic configuration is 3d74s2. So if it is giving away 2 electrons from s shell, we will get the oxidation state as plus 2. If it is giving 2 electrons from s and 1 electron from d shell, then the oxidation state is plus 3. If 2 electrons from S and 2 from D, then it gives us the +4 oxidation state. If 2 from S and 3 from D subshell, then it gives us the +5 oxidation state. Now here we have 2 paired electrons, hence we are not considering them. For nickel, the electronic configuration is 3D8 4s2. Now here there is a printing mistake, they have written it as 3D10. Okay, so according to the same pattern, we will get the oxidation state as +2, +3 and +4. Copper has an outer electronic configuration of 3D10 4s1. So we know that when there is an unpaired electron, if we remove it, we get the oxidation state of +1. So if we are removing one electron from S shell, we get the oxidation state +1. Now if you look at the D shell, all the electrons are paired and it is very difficult to remove those electrons. But however, copper shows this exceptional behavior and it also exhibits the oxidation state of +2. Zinc has an outer electronic configuration of 3D10 4s2. So of course it is going to give away those 2 electrons which are present in the S shell, hence the oxidation state +2. Let us now study the physical properties of the first transition series. All the transition elements are metals and hence they show the properties of metals. Now we know that metals have properties like luster, which means shine. They are malleable, which means that you can convert them into thin sheets. They are ductile, so they can be converted in the form of wires. Metals are hard and they can also form alloys with other metals. They are also good conductors of heat and electricity except for some metals like zinc, cadmium, mercury and manganese. All the elements of the D block element are very hard and are less volatile except for zinc, cadmium and mercury. They also have high melting and boiling points. The reason for zinc, cadmium and mercury not being hard is because they have all electrons paired, whereas in the other transition elements there are unpaired electrons present in the D subshell. Now we move on to the next topic, that is trends in atomic properties of first transition series. So first trend is atomic and ionic radii. In transition series, the atomic radii of elements decreases as we move from left to right. So here is a table which shows the decrease in the atomic radius of the elements. First is scandium, so the atomic radius is 164. So from left, as we start moving towards the right, that means the last element is going to be zinc. So if you look at the atomic radius, it is 137. Hence it is decreasing. And since the atomic radius is decreasing, means the nuclear charge is going to increase by 1 unit at a time. Smaller the atomic radius, larger is the nuclear charge. We know that when the last electron enters in the penultimate shell, that is n-1 D shell, then it is called as D block elements. The electrons present in the D subshell, they offer less penetration and hence have smaller screening effect. The nucleus reduces its force of attraction on the valence electrons due to electrons present in the inner shell is called as screening effect, which means since there are electrons in the S and P shell, they are going to block the force of attraction of the nucleus from reaching the electrons which are present in the D shell. Hence, the electrons which are present in the D shell have smaller screening effect. And this is the reason that the atomic radii gradually decreases as we move from left to right in the transition series. Atomic radius is the distance from the nucleus to the valence electron, and ionic radius is the distance from the nucleus to the outermost electron in an ion. So now we are going to study about ionic radius. When you have an atom and when you remove one electron from it, it forms a M+ ion. If you remove 2 electrons, it forms M2+ ions. Ionic radii also follows the same trend like atomic radius. That is, as we move from left to right in the transition series, the ionic radii is going to decrease. So if you observe the ionic radius for M2+ and M3+ ions, you will see that for the initial elements, that is for scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, it is higher when you compare that with the elements towards the right side of the table, that is nickel, copper and zinc. We are aware that the elements of the first transition series show a variety or variable oxidation states. So the concept of ionic radii can be studied with elements having same oxidation state, or we can consider the oxidation state of the same element. Let us consider an example to understand the first case, that is same oxidation state. We know that as the ionic radii decreases, the nuclear charge increases. So if we consider the divalent ions, that is M2 plus ions, the ionic radii of chromium is 82 picometer while that of copper is 73 picometer. So both the elements here have the same oxidation state, that is +2, which means 2 electrons are removed and the ionic radius is decreasing as we move from left to right. Now let us consider the second case, that is various oxidation states of same element. There are some elements which show variable oxidation states like M2 plus, 3 plus, 4 plus, 5 plus, 6 plus, etc. So when you have higher oxidation state, the effective nuclear charge increases, because higher oxidation state means more number of electrons are removed and the ionic radius is going to become smaller in size. The next trend is ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy is the minimum amount of energy which is required to remove the loosely bound electron from the isolated neutral gaseous atom or molecule. The ionization enthalpies of the transition elements are intermediate between those of S block and P block. Intermediate means in between. This means that the transition elements are less electropositive when compared with that of group 1 and 2, which is the S block elements, because we know S block elements are electropositive. Transition elements with lower oxidation states form ionic compound, and with higher oxidation state they form covalent compounds. This table shows the 3 ionization enthalpies, and there is an increase observed in the first ionization enthalpy and third ionization enthalpy. First ionization enthalpy is represented by IE1, second as IE2 and third as IE3. We know that the atomic size of the transition series elements decreases as we move from left to right, hence more is the nuclear charge. So greater the nuclear charge, more ionization enthalpy is required to remove the electron from the valence shell. Next trend is the metallic character. The metallic character is because of low ionization enthalpies and vacant d orbitals in the outermost shell. This favors the formation of metallic bonds and hence the element shows metallic properties. Now we know that the elements in the 3D series of the D block are very hard, and the reason behind that is the unpaired electrons which are present in the D shell. Nearly all the transition elements have HCP, that is hexagonal closed packing, CCP, that is cubic closed packing, or BCC, that is body centered cube, and having such type of packing is a characteristic of true metal. In all the transition series, the melting point of the elements increases up to D5 configuration. However, there are certain elements which show anomalous behavior pertaining to the melting point. After the D5 configuration, as the atomic number increases, the melting point decreases. The next trend is about magnetic properties. Due to the presence of unpaired electrons in the atoms or ions, the compounds of transition elements show magnetic properties. Now we need to know what are paramagnetic, diamagnetic and ferromagnetic substances. When we apply a magnetic field and when the substance gets attracted to that magnetic field, then those are called as paramagnetic substance, while the substances which get repelled are called as diamagnetic substances. There are some substances which attract very strongly to the magnetic field, and they are called as ferromagnetic substances. Among the transition elements, iron, cobalt and nickel are ferromagnetic. So when magnetic field is applied, all the unpaired electrons which are present in the atom or the ion align themselves in the direction of the applied magnetic field. Because of this, the metals are magnetized and they achieve a permanent magnetic moment. Each unpaired electron which is present give rise to a very small amount of magnetic field called as magnetic moment. And this happens because of spin angular momentum and orbital angular momentum. The formula for magnetic moment is given as mu is equal to square root of n bracket n plus 2 bracket close bm. Here mu is the magnetic moment, n is the number of unpaired electrons present, bm is the Bohr magneton. A single unpaired electron has a magnetic moment of 1.73 Bohr magneton. So with the help of magnetic moment, we can determine the measurements of metal complexes of the first row transition elements. Also we can determine the number of unpaired electrons present, because magnetic moment is directly related to the number of unpaired electrons. If we want to determine the magnetic moment experimentally, then it can be done in solution or solid state. In this, the central metal ion is hydrated, means water, and then it could also be bound to ligands. Ligand is an atom or molecule which binds to the central metal ion to form a coordinate complex. The trends, color, catalytic property and formation of interstitial compounds will be studied in the next video.